Hello everyone, myself Sangram Kesari Mahapatra, industry expert from 9sem.com. I welcome you all in 9sem.com. It is my second session. In this session, I will cover flow measurement. Okay, let's start. What is flow? What are the types of flow? What are the methods for flow measurement? And last, what are the application of flow measurement in various sectors? So by definition, it is a mode for determining the properties and the amount of material in or out of a process. So flow measurement can be defined as the quantification of movement of a fluid, gas, steam, air, etc. Flow may be turbulent or laminar. So then what is turbulent flow and what is laminar flow? It is decided by Reynolds number and it depends upon the diameter of the size of the pipe inside which flow is flowing. So when the Reynolds number is less than 2100, we may say the flow is laminar. When it is greater than 4000, we may say flow is turbulent. So flow measuring method can be broadly divided in three categories. What are those categories? Inferential type flow meter, number 1, number 2 quantity flow meter, number 3 mass flow meter. Today I am going to discuss about inferential type flow measuring methods. In these inferential type flow measuring methods, there are various methods adopted for measuring flow rate. What are those? One is variable head or differential meters. Second is variable area meter. Third is magnetic meter. Fourth is vortex meter. Fifth is ultrasonic meter. So first I start variable head flow meter. What is basic operation principle of variable head flow meter? It is used an obstruction or restriction in the line of flow, that is the pipe inside which flow is going on, which causes localized change in the velocity of the flow. Thus change in velocity causes change in pressure in the flow, hence there will be a pressure difference created across the restriction, which will be proportional to flow rate. What are the obstruction or restriction used are mostly? Those obstruction or restrictions are used mostly. One is orifice plate, venturi tube, nozzle. So in this figure I will show you a flow meter by using orifice plate. As you can see in the pipe, inside the pipe there will be flow of liquid. At the middle of the pipe you have seen there is a orifice plate. At the input side of the orifice plate there is a pressure gauge, as well as at the output side of the orifice plate there is another pressure gauge. Okay, now basically the principle is based on Bernoulli's theorem. What it says? When the flow fluid enters inside the pipe towards the orifice plate, there will be there will be downstream of the flow, from upstream to downstream. As you can see at the inlet side, according to Bernoulli's theorem, the pressure is higher whereas velocity is less. You can see easily in the diagram. Here pressure shows at the input side 8 pound per square inch gauge. At the output side, obviously the pressure will be lower but velocity will be higher. Here you can see the pressure shows 66 pound per square inch gauge. Due to this, there will be a pressure difference which will ultimately cause variation of velocity of the flow. Hence, according to the formula, the Q is equal to K, a proportionality constant, into square root of differential pressure. So Q is our here flow rate and K is a constant determined by the orifice size and type of liquid that we used. P is differential pressure across the orifice plate. Okay. So how pressure can be created or pressure can be dropped from upstream to downstream. I will explain. So minimum pressure is located slightly downstream from the restriction at a point where the stream is narrowest. As you can see in the figure, obviously in this figure I will use a Venturi-meter type flow meter, another is orifice meter type flow meter, where our restriction is one is Venturi type, another is orifice plate, where you can see easily when the flow is flowing and from upstream to downstream where the narrowest flow occur. At that point we found minimum pressure, which is due to vena contracta. Due to vena contracta there will be a pressure drop from downstream to from upstream to downstream. After passing the narrowest path, while entering to outside of the restriction, that is orifice plate or Venturi tube, you find the flow pressure gradually increase, but not attain but the pressure at the beginning of upstream. So hence there will be a pressure loss. So this pressure loss will create a difference in pressure, ultimately measures the flow rate. What is the application that is used in this type of flow meter? This flow meter can be used for measuring gas flow, steam flow, water line flow, air flow rate, etc. I will be cover those application in industry in my next session. Then come to another flow meter, that is called electromagnetic flow meter. It is a real image of a electromagnetic flow meter, where you can see there is a transmitter attached to the flow sensor. In this transmitter you can see at the front of the transmitter there is a display where you can see the flow rate. There is a cable gland inside which you can enter the cable for the connection purpose. Now this is the coil housing, entire body we can say. Inside the coil housing there will be a magnet, which is maybe electromagnet or permanent magnet. Basically we can use AC or DC voltage for this. So inside the housing there will be a liner which is made of rubber. Okay, as you can see there is a earthing ring which is used for earthing purpose, and also flange which is attached to the flange of the pipe where flow is flowing. Okay, now come to this figure. You can see the electromagnetic flow meter works on the certain law. That law is called Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, which states that whenever a conductor moves through a magnetic field of given field strength, a voltage is induced in the conductor which is proportional to the relative velocity between the conductor and magnetic field. So conductive flowing liquid act as a conductor. Now construction point of view, as you can see in the figure, there is a permanent magnet or an electromagnet which is AC or DC around a non-conductive pipe which is made of rubber. Two electrodes as you can see in the figure, two electrodes fitted at right angles to the magnetic field for picking up induced EMF, and these electrodes are fixed in such a way that it cannot produce any obstruction to the fluid flowing inside the pipe, but it just does the flow of the liquid, conducting liquid. Fluid flow in the pipe which is right angles to the plane of the magnetic flux lines, and the induced EMF direction which is along the line joining the electrode. That means induced EMF direction is obviously the radius of the pipe. So electromagnetic flow meter are based on Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. That's why we call it as magnetic flow meter. So a magnetic flow meter is applied to the metering tube, which results in potential difference which is proportional to the flow velocity perpendicular to the flux lines. So by the formula mathematically we can derive it. E is equal to K into B into D into V, where E is our induced voltage, that is linear with the velocity, K is proportionality constant, B is magnetic field strength, coil inductance, D is distance between electrode, V is velocity of the fluid passing inside the pipe. Now it is a fundamental theory based on which our electromagnetic works. Just see an example. You can see there is a dynamo light attached to the bicycle. A rider riding his bicycle. When he pedaling slowly, you can see obviously the light is dim. When he pedaling quickly, the light becomes brighter. This same principle adopts flow of liquid for measuring flow rate by using electromagnetic flow meter. When there will be small flow which will ultimately, but as you can see in the formula, the flow of the velocity will be very less, so our flow will be very less. When flow is higher, velocity obviously higher, so our induced EMF is higher, hence ultimately flow rate is higher. Okay, so now come to our next flow meter, that is called variable area flow meter. It is called tachometer. Here it is an image of a tachometer. So it belongs to a class of meter that is based on variable area meter, which measures flow rate by allowing the cross-sectional area the fluid travels to vary, causing a measurable effect. So what are the construction point of view of a rotameter? A rotameter consists of a taper tube, typically made of a glass. There is a float which is made of either aluminum or a ceramic, actually shaped wet. Inside that is pushed up by the drag force of the flow and pulled down by gravity. Okay, the drag force for a given fluid and the float cross section is a function of flow speed squared only. That means it is a squared relationship. A higher volumetric flow rate through a given area increases flow speed and drag force, so the float will be pushed upward. However, as the inside the rotameter is a cone shape, that is widened, as you can see in the figure, the area around the float through which the medium flows increases, so the flow speed and the drag force decreases until there is a mechanical equilibrium with the float weight. So as you can see in this figure, while fluid enters the taper tube, some of the fluid strikes directly the float and some of the fluid passes from the sides. Two forces acting in this case. One is upthrust force, that is due to the flow, and another force is weight of the float, that is gravitational force. So annular space increases due to increase in the area of the tube. When equilibrium is established, the float comes to rest. So based on the Bernoulli's theorem, the principle mentioned above can be theoretically expressed as follows: Q is equal to K into A into square root of GH, where Q is volumetric flow rate, that unit is gallons per minute. K is equal to a constant, A is annular area between the float and the tube wall, G is force of gravity, H is the pressure drop across the float. As you can see in this figure, I will show you a float which which movement occur due to the flow, and when upward thrust occurs due to the float moves upward. Ultimately, by the area of cross section increases by the time, the float attains a certain equilibrium position due to the gravitational weight. Hence, a mechanical equilibrium will establish, which shows the flow rate, as you can see in the scale. So it is a constructional overview of a flow meter, where you can see there is a inlet float which rests when flow enters and the float moves upward. Minimum flow rate due to minimum annular area at the bottom end of the tube. As the tube is tapered, maximum flow due to maximum annular area at the top, and at equilibrium position flow comes to rest. So this flow meter or this rotameter can be used in various sectors. In steel industry, it is basically used in the arc furnace to measure the flow of oxygen that is flowing inside the furnace. So this is based on theory point of view of 3 flow meter that I will give you. Their application in latter part of my video. Okay, this concludes. Thank you.